We're filming here just outside Derry in Northern Ireland, near the border with Donegal in the Republic of Ireland. Originating from the Art of Survival International and Irish Quilts exhibition in 2008, Conflict Textiles, curated by Roberta Bacik, is home to a large collection of international textiles, exhibitions and associated events, all of which focus on elements of conflict and human rights abuses. The physical collection and online repository coexist, with the Conflict Textiles website documenting the 370 textiles present in the physical collection and the 192 events and associated activities that have been organised. The website is an associated site of CAIN, Conflict Archive on the Internet at Ulster University, and it allows users internationally to learn about a collection that includes textiles from dozens of different countries, including Chile, Northern Ireland, Colombia and Argentina. So as a key academic partner, Ulster University is delighted to collaborate with Conflict Textiles. We recognise and value the historical, cultural and research significance of this important textile collection that tells us stories, textile narratives of political violence, repression, loss, survival and reconciliation across the globe. We have an ongoing programme of seminars and research associated to the collection, and most recently we have opened a permanent rotating exhibition at the university's Magee campus. All our work in Conflict Textiles is based on collaborative relationships and extending networks. Of specific importance to this exhibition is the 2017 International Colloquium and Exhibition Textile Language of Conflicts based at Magee. This colloquium was attended by a group of 15 experts. It facilitated an in-depth exploration and progression of an epistemology of textile language. Delegates at the colloquium heard about the 2012 to 2016 Stitching and Unstitching the Troubles programme of events held in Northern Ireland under the direction of Helen Perry. These events explored memories of conflict through RP eras created locally and across the world. In fact, the colloquium was where Berit and Beatrice, lead researchers on this project, first met and where the current project was inspired.
The so-called Troubles in Northern Ireland spanned from 1968 to 1998 and can be described as a conflict between two identity groups signified by religion, Protestant and Catholic, visible in this arpillera. Through the barricades. This arpillera was made in 2013 during a workshop associated to the exhibition. We are drawn to the central image of a heart, overlaid on the two prominent flags in Northern Ireland, the Union Jack and the tricolour. In this piece, Jackie, the maker, tells us the story of lovers from opposing communities who had to meet in secret during the Troubles. She reflects today. Even today, this is still an issue.
Praying for Peace also relates to the Troubles in Northern Ireland and is an outcome of one of the workshops that were part of the exhibition. In these workshops, women, many maybe for the first time, had a space to uncover their own memories of the Troubles. Inspired by the Chilean arpilleristas, they used scraps of material to stitch their recollection of events. Moira, the arpillerista, she presents two strong images. Here we see a group huddled together, arms raised, fervently praying for peace. The peace dove is almost within reach. Over here, dark armed figures are trying to destroy the peace process. Moira says everyone is praying for peace, but there's always people to shoot it down. This rings true for many societies post-conflict.
Actually, our collaboration with Colombia started in 1999. Presently, we have been part of a museum for me at Liverpool University that raises the profile of the themes of memory, victims and representation. It is a timely intervention as part of our involvement with the Colombian Truth Commission among exiles and adds to the momentum for the participation in presenting their testimony to the Commission. From 2010, our collection has profiled mujeres tejiendo sueños y sabores de paz, and since 2016, group artesanías crafts from Choiba. Conflict transformation is a concept designed to reframe the way in which peace-building initiatives are discussed and pursued. How do these translate into ordinary life? The conflict textiles pieces aim at highlighting and speak from first-hand experience of situations in different countries, lived and shared by ordinary people who have survived violent political conflict. The language chosen to dialogue with the textiles produced by ex-FARC combatants is through stitching and embroidery. The participants in the project have decided to engage in the Colombia peace process, and they have laid down their arms. If we look at this Colombian piece, Un corazón como todos, a heart like everyone else, we can see and understand that these people have feelings, thoughts and aspirations, and have not given up their wish to be part of a process of social change. They want to find different ways to participate and contribute. Let us examine some from the Conflict Textiles collection. If we look at the broken rifle, arpillera made by Irene McWilliam from Northern Ireland, we see that this transnational symbol, adopted by War Resistance International, invites us to actually break our guns and continue our struggles via non-violent methods. She has used red hands reddened with the bloodshed of war, and we have added a Sandinista doll given to the collection by an ex-Chiapas combatant. Some ex-combatants would want to reinsert in society and work their own land and live a simple life. Probably something they missed when living in war zones. So, we have chosen this Chilean 1969 embroidery to portray their wish and idea. It is called La Trilla, the harvest. The Colombia political peace process might allow combatants living in exile to come back and insert themselves in ordinary life. This is vividly expressed in this 1992 Chilean arpillera called Retorno, Return. Victoria Diaz, who had members of a family living in exile and has two disappeared close relatives, welcomed the ones who had left the country during the dictatorship and could come back due to transitional justice processes. Los trabajos colectivos son fuente de resistencia. Collective work is a source of resistance is a 2018 embroidery from Chiapas, Mexico. The two female ex-combatants portrayed here have learned during their years of struggle that collective activity is at the very core of resistance. They apply what they have learned working their land. Escuela en la Población, School in a Población, is a Chilean arpillera from 1982. It was made during the hard times of the dictatorship and shows the relevance of schooling children in their community during violent political times. It gives families the possibility of being together and live a sense of normality, wishing that education will help their children and also prepare them for life and work. Queremos democracia, we want democracy, a 1988 Chilean arpillera, places the action plan for the citizens within participation in democratic processes as a way out from political violent times. 1988 was a crucial time for Chilean history as General Pinochet was defeated in a plebiscite, and it gave way to a political process that eventually ousted the dictator. No Going Back, made in 2009, is the first Northern Ireland arpillera and was made by Sonia Copeland. She represents the public protest action taken by citizens to oppose the possible return to violence due to violent incidents in 2009. No nos matarán la esperanza, they won't kill our hope, is a tiny Chilean arpillera created on the 8th of March 1988. It portrays how a group of women prepared themselves prior to participating in a demonstration against the atrocities and repression of the Pinochet regime. No matter how difficult the times are, there is always space to act and keep positive attitudes.
Mama Raiwana is based on an old Peruvian legend of how the world evolved. Many years ago, after a long period of drought, when the people had nothing to eat, the yuk-yuk bird promised the people that he would get them food from the goddess Raiwana. But she kept the food closely guarded. So he sought help from his friend, who threw fleas into Mama Raiwana's eyes. In protecting herself, she dropped her child, Canopa, who was promptly snatched by an eagle. However, when she shared seeds and food with all the people, the birds brought Canopa safely back to her. The people learned to till the land and grow food, and they were never hungry again. So we see several strands stitched together in this legend: food insecurity, drought, violence, and the close connection of indigenous people to the land. And we know that Canopa's experience is repeated in many conflict zones. We also see other strands stitched here as well: the struggle for a solution, the fruits of collaboration, and the dividends of peace for all of society. In this trilogy, Soldiers Back from the Wars, Linda Adam exposes the horror and futility of war. Beforehand, she interviewed local men who had survived war, and she found that their stories all followed a similar pattern. Here in Attack, we see the aftermath of an attack on the barracks. We see the injured soldiers, the bloodshed, the plumes of smoke, and the fighter planes overhead. In Ghost, we see the fears, the nightmares, the flashbacks, the suicidal thoughts, all elements of post-traumatic stress disorder. And it doesn't end there. Return takes up the story when he goes back home. It's difficult to slot into civilian life. Everything has changed. He ends up sleeping rough and drinking too much. This is the cost of war in human terms. As Linda says, for the veterans and their loved ones, the war was only the start of the nightmare.
While we were at this side of the world, choosing and curating these arpilleras to share with the groups in Colombia to connect to their situations, the participants in Colombia were sewing and embroidering their own pieces. They are their expressions of the situations they have found themselves in. We want to share with you this clip that gives us a gaze into their pieces.
Tras décadas de conflicto armado y el acuerdo de paz de 2016, ¿cómo pueden los colombianos renarrar sus vidas para seguir viviendo? ¿Cómo pueden los exguerrilleros de las FARC, sus familias, sus víctimas, sus nuevos vecinos rurales y la sociedad en general volver a convivir? Estas son las preguntas que explora el proyecto de investigación de Tejiendo Miradas. Es realizado por investigadoras de las universidades de Aberystwyth, Reino Unido, y Antioquia, Colombia. El equipo del proyecto utilizó la costura, el bordado y las entrevistas narrativas para explorar los microprocesos cotidianos de reconciliación. Trabajaron en 2 comunidades rurales que ahora acogen a combatientes desmovilizados: Llano Grande da Beiba y San José de León, Mutatá. Las narrativas textiles resultantes de estos compromisos forman el núcleo de la exposición virtual de Tejiendo Miradas. La exposición pone estas experiencias del proceso de paz en Colombia en conversación con textiles de conflicto de otros países. nos invita a reflexionar sobre las suposiciones que destejemos o retejemos cuando conocemos a aquellos que viven el proceso de paz cada día a través de sus narrativas textiles.